Hi guys, this is Kumar. Today we are going to look at cell organelles. So what are cell organelles? Cell organelles are a very small microscopic structure which are found inside the cell, which perform various functions for the cell. And they're found in the cell suspended in the cytoplasm. They may or may not be membrane bound. So all those eukaryotic cells are having the cell organelles which are bounded by the membrane. And in prokaryotic, there is an absence of the membrane and the cell organelles. So let's look at some of the examples of the cell organelles. The cell organelles are like ribosomes, mitochondria, smooth endoplasmic reticulum, centriole, Golgi apparatus, rough endoplasmic reticulum, nuclear envelope, nucleolus, and nucleus. So let's start with the outermost part of the cell, which is the cell membrane. So cell membrane is a kind of guard which allows the substances to enter and exit the cell, and it also gives shape to the cell. Inside the cell is the cytoplasm. Cytoplasm is like a jelly-like substance enclosed by the cell membrane and provides a medium for all those chemical reactions to take place. Some of the organelles which are suspended they are contained in the cytoplasm, and they carry out a specific jobs or metabolic functions. The cytoplasm is found in all those cells. Let's look at the most important part of the cell, which is the nucleus, which is also called as the brain of the cell. It controls all those normal activities of the cell, and it contains the most important thing, the DNA. Which is the DNA is in the chromosomes. So all the genetic information or all those information for the metabolic functions are stored in the DNA. So it's bounded by nuclear envelope with some pores. And if you look at all the organelles, nucleus is the largest organelle among these. And each cell has a fixed number of chromosomes that carry the genes. So in humans, we have 23 pairs or 46 chromosomes. So these chromosomes that carry genes, and genes they control the cell characteristics, that how the cell is going to behave. We are going to look into that is the protein synthesis in detail later. Outside the nucleus is a double membrane surrounding it, which is called as the nuclear envelope. It's also called as the nuclear membrane, and it has a nuclear pores for the materials to enter and leave the nucleus. So nuclear envelope basically controls the materials to enter and exit the nucleus. The nuclear membrane is often connected to the rough endoplasmic reticulum. And let's look at inside the nucleus. What's inside the nucleus? There's a genetic material, DNA, which is deoxyribonucleic acid, which is found. So if DNA is present out and it appears as a thread-like structure, which is chromatin, and especially in the non-dividing cells. So that means the cells which are not dividing, the DNA appears in a form of long condensed thread, which we call as chromatin. So when the cell starts dividing during the cell division, the DNA is condensed and wrapped around a protein forming chromosome. And that time when we call that as chromosome. So the basic difference between a chromatin and a chromosome is when the cells are not dividing, the DNA is a thread-like condensed structure called as chromatin. And when the cell divides, that chromatin still further condenses, and they are wrapped around proteins forming it into chromosome. So all those dividing cells will be having chromosome, and non-dividing cells will be having chromatin. What does DNA do? So DNA is deoxyribonucleic acid and is the hereditary material of the cell, which you get from your parents, and your parents got it from your grandparents. So that's a kind of hereditary material of the cell, and are having genes that makes up the DNA molecule code. So these DNA molecule code for different proteins, so which we are going to learn in protein synthesis. Nucleolus. So if you look in the center of the nucleus, you will find the nucleolus. And the cell may have 1 to 3 nucleoli. So nucleolus is a singular and nucleoli is a plural. So you can find 1 nucleolus or 3 nucleoli. It disappears when the cell divides. So you will find the nucleolus especially in the cells which are not dividing. So basically the function of nucleolus is they make ribosomes, and ultimately the ribosomes are responsible for the protein synthesis. Cytoskeleton, as the name suggests, cyto means cell, skeleton. So cytoskeleton are kind of skeleton for the cell, which helps the cell to maintain cell shape and also help to move the organelles around. They are made up of proteins and microfilaments. These microfilaments are the thread-like structure and made of actin. So you look at these kind of tubules, which are microtubules. They are tube-like, made up of tubulin. So these green filaments are small microfilaments, and these tubules are the microtubules. Centrioles. Centrioles are only found in animal cells, and they are paired structure near the nucleus. And these centrioles are made up of bundle of microtubules, and they appear during the cell division, forming a mitotic spindle. So the next topic which we are going to do is the cell division. So you are going to know about the centrioles, which are found paired structure. So they are always found in twos, and they are made up of microtubules, and they appear during the cell division. So what's the function of centrioles? The centrioles help to pull the chromosome pairs apart to opposite ends of the cell. So during the cell division, these structures, which are centrioles, they pull the chromosome pairs apart. Mitochondrion. So mitochondrion is a singular and mitochondria is a plural. They are often called as the powerhouse of the cell, because they generate cellular energy in the form of ATP, that is the adenosine triphosphate. They are more active cells because they are continuously generating energy, and body and each cell, each muscle always need energy for the various metabolic activities. So all the energy from the body is provided by the mitochondria, and that's why they are the most active part of the cell. And if you look where you need the most, because you need the most in the muscles. So muscles are continuously moving, and for the movement they need energy, and the energy comes from ATP. So mitochondria will be maximum in those parts of the body which are continuously generating energy. So in muscles you will find the number of mitochondria as the maximum. So both plants and animals have mitochondria, and they are the site for the cellular respiration, that is burning of the glucose to generate energy in the form of ATP. They are surrounded by a double membrane and has its own DNA. So they are folded in a membrane called cristae that increases the surface area for more chemical reaction. So as these mitochondria are generating continuously the energy in the form of ATP, they need more surface area for chemical reactions. And inside the mitochondria, you will find matrix, which are kind of similar to the cytoplasm. One of the interesting facts about mitochondria is that you get the mitochondria from your mother, because the first mitochondria which is coming from the egg cell during the fertilization. So let's look at the function of mitochondria. What does mitochondria do? Mitochondria are the power plant or the powerhouse of the cell. Why they are called as the powerhouse? Because mitochondria burns glucose to release energy in the form of ATP, which is adenosine triphosphate. If you look at the structure of ATPs, you will see here is the adenine and the glucose in the form of ribose, and there are 3 phosphate which are bonded with each other with a chemical bond. So whenever there is a need of energy, the ATP releases the energy when there is a breakage of one phosphate bond, and the energy is released from that. So you can say that the ATP stores the energy in the form of these chemical bonds in the phosphates. Endoplasmic reticulum, which are also called as ER, they are the network of the hollow membrane tubules and connects to the nuclear envelope and the cell membrane. They function in the synthesis of cell products and transport. There are 2 kinds of endoplasmic reticulum, or ER. The rough endoplasmic reticulum and the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. The rough endoplasmic reticulum looks like this, and why they are called rough? Because they have a ribosome on its surface, and that makes a membrane protein and the proteins for export out of the cell. So mainly the function of endoplasmic reticulum is they make proteins and they export out of the cell. So where are the proteins made? We are going to do that in detail when we do the protein synthesis, but basically the ribosomes, which are attached on the endoplasmic reticulum surface, they make the proteins, and endoplasmic reticulum transfer or transport these proteins to the other parts. So they are then threaded into the interior of the rough endoplasmic reticulum, the ribosomes, and they are modified and transported. So smooth endoplasmic reticulum, why they are called smooth? Because they are lacking ribosome on its surface. So basically the difference between smooth and rough endoplasmic reticulum are the ribosomes. If are present, they are called as the rough endoplasmic reticulum, and if they are lacking, they are called as the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. So the smooth endoplasmic reticulum makes cell products that are used inside the cell. And what are the products? They are the lipids, which are steroids, and regulates calcium. So all those smooth endoplasmic reticulum in the muscle cell, they function to regulate calcium, which you will see in detail that the main function to move these muscle cells. So one of the function also of smooth endoplasmic reticulum present in the liver is to destroy the toxic substances which are produced due to the various metabolic activities of the cell. So ribosomes, they are made up of proteins and RNA, ribosomal RNA. So they are also called as the protein factories for the cell because they are producing the proteins. And they join amino acid. If you remember from the past videos, the amino acids are the kind of macromolecules which are attached to make proteins. And the process of attaching the amino acids are called as the protein synthesis. The ribosome can be attached with the rough endoplasmic reticulum, or they can be found in the cytoplasm, suspended in the cytoplasm.